I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more. It's funny. Most people don't know the other parts of that song. That's the only part I know, at least for certain. Just out here on this morning walk, getting these watch hours up. If you want, it's hard out here for teachers. If you want to bless the fake teacher fund, the Cash App is right there. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to put it in the corner right here. Let's see. Can I move it? Am I able to move it? Huh. Not letting me move it. Oh, well. Most people think the summertime is a vacation time for teachers. Mm-mm. Bullshit the Baker Man. Shout out to Nate Rob for that quote. Uh, it's actually a recovery time. Recovery and exercise. Shit crazy. It's already 90, 89, 90 degrees out here. The fuck? Hope I got an EMT or somebody that's gonna be watching. At least y'all know to call 911. And you're gonna say, well, where's the person located? I don't know. What is the person wearing? I don't know. What color is the person? You sound black. Yeah, you can sound black too. So it is 91 degrees and it is 9:19 in the morning. Why in the hell am I out here walking? But I am hydrated and I'm almost home. Free. I know you are, but what am I? Yeah, whatever. Hey, for some of you guys, it might not hurt you to get your fat asses off the couch and go for a walk too. So you want to knock a fake teacher for trying to get some exercise in? Hey, I literally saw this one cat on YouTube yesterday get over 1,000 views, 1,400 likes. He weighs over 450 pounds. He'll say 400 pounds. Motherfucker is not 400 pounds. He's about 475. And all he does is sit on there and he'll either eat or he'll say he's working out, but he'll eat while he's working out. That's his stick, right? So I'm out here actually doing exercise, and that's the type of comments I get. Man, I'm out here walking. Who is that? RR something world. I'm out here walking, trying to knock down this fat man weight because fake teachers got to stay in shape. Hey, guys, make sure y'all sub up to the channel as well too. One of the reasons why I'm showing this is because I want to get my watch hours up. And then I also need to get my subscriber count up because I'm going to be talking about all things related to education that everybody should know about or want to know about or care about, because whether you guys know it or not, education is failing. And we don't do something now to curb the failures of education, then we are destined to see a failed society even within the next 20 to 30 years. They're using false diagnosis. They're pushing vapes. They're in social media, all these things to distract our kids from learning and becoming literate and educating. If I try running RRNS World, y'all definitely gonna have to call a paramedic right now. Let me try to run a little bit. Oh, so they got those videos, it's like 40 and over. And I said, I want to do one of those with one of my sons because I can do a back handspring. And it's like, once you do something, your body, it turns into a spirit. And then you look back and you see yourself dead on it. I always thought those was funny. Whoever came up with those concepts are genius. So, but also, if you want to support the Fake Teacher Fund, feel free to hit the Cash App that's up there because, hey, if you value education, trust me on this channel that it's going to be something that you're going to benefit from. I'm an educator. Whatever that means, it means a lot of different things. But I do go by the Fake Teacher podcast. So, and I got that name because I had another channel and people were like, oh, this old fake ass teacher. So I said, shit, let me turn that into something positive because everybody's a fake teacher in some sense of the way. Whether you are a parent at home this summer with your kids, you have to be a teacher. Whether you are teaching your child how to drive this summer, you have to be a teacher. Whether you're teaching your kid how to cook, you have to be a teacher. I ascribe to the belief of Horace Mann, the founder of education or credited founder of public education, when he said that the first teacher a child has is the mother. Think about it. You teach them how to suck from your breast. You teach them how to be soothed crying. Everybody's a fake teacher in some sense of the way. So I'm not here to hate on teachers. I'm here to celebrate them because we all are fake teachers. Let the church say amen in the chat, please. Hey, thank you so much for that blessing. Somebody just shot me a $20 blessing through a Cash App. Now, I make a point never to mention names because we have some docs and suches out here who always try to mess up the money flow. So I'm not going to mention names unless you say, hey, can you mention my name for supporting your channel? I can do that. But just off the rip, I tend to not do that. Wonder who they're looking for. How much kilometers do you walk? So what is it? 5 kilometers is what? Is that 2 miles? I think. So whatever 5 kilometers are is usually actually no. I'm probably doing 10 a day because I started. I'm doing one big circle, so I'm probably doing about 5 miles. If kilometers are, if that's how kilometers are based. Listen, I don't. If I am a fake teacher, I'm not a science teacher, and I don't use the metric or math teacher, so I don't use the metric systems. Thank you so much for subscribing, the Zadeeser. So the reason why it's hard for me to see because it's literally like 90, 91 degrees outside right now, and I ain't getting no break from the sun, no cloud cover. But it's a good walk. It's a productive walk. Main thing is if you go out for a walk, make sure you stay hydrated. I just finished my hydration, uh, but I made sure that I was set before I finished it off. Make sure you are rested and make sure you either eat a protein bar or I tend to not all. If you're diabetic, you got to eat something. But if you're not diabetic and you don't feel the overall urge to eat, you know, if it's not a extensive walk, don't listen to people say you got to eat for your walk. That's only if you're like diabetic or if you got medical conditions. Now, salute to the blessing I just got again for $10. Thank you so much. Man, I'm gonna stop teaching and I'm gonna start just walking. Send me $30. Now I seen motherfuckers who will fight docs, curse your mother, curse your brother, curse your cousin to get $30 just so they can have gas money for the week on here. So my goal is to just use the Fake Teacher Fund, highlight and celebrate the institution of education and bring to light some of the conversations a lot of people are afraid to have when it comes to education. So one of the things I always say is education's failing here in America. If we are ranked 40th overall of all nations, then how are we not failing? If 40% of our third graders are not on proficient reading levels, if 45% of our third graders are not proficient on math levels. How are we saying that we are not a failed education system? We do things that deprive young boys of innovation and constructively getting their energy out. I want you to think about this. Think about this. Now, no, I'm not a PE teacher, but I got common sense. They restricted PE in elementary school, middle school, and even high school. They no longer require kids to make time on or make push-ups or sit-ups to pass their classes. Yet we now have kids who they mandate stay in classrooms for a vast majority of the day. So the only 30 minutes to an hour that the kid really has to get it out of his or her system, they now restrict it to allowing these kids to just say, hey, you can wear Crocs as long as you walk the basketball court. What the fuck? So this is how we have failed our kids, even health wise. Let me stop under the shade real quick and have a conversation with y'all. If you look at my previous video or my previous short, or even if you look at my previous post, you'll see that I mentioned a child by the name of Casper O'Brien. And this will be a good conversation to have for you guys. Okay. I want to ask you this question. Be charged for a crime if their child is malnourished and that child dies. Let's take a moment. Let's look into the woods of the unknown. Let's look into the bushes of the unknown. Let's see what jumps out and grabs us. Comment in the comment under the comment. And the reason I'm setting that up, do you think that parents should be charged with a crime if their child dies from malnourishment? So Casper O'Brien, so comment below. So Casper O'Brien's situation, you had a 7-year-old boy, so many of you guys who don't know, you had a 7-year-old boy who at the time of his death, he weighed 255 pounds. He was 4'2". So that's 50. So he was 4'2" at the time of his death. The paramedics were called to his parents' home because they said that his parents said that he couldn't breathe. So he was struggling to breathe. When the paramedics arrived there, they noticed that the home was a hoarding situation. For those of you who do not know what a hoarding situation is, a hoarding situation is where people have a culmination of items in their house that they have grown attached to and they don't sell. And those items just continue to accumulate more and more and more. In most hoarding situations, it's not traditional hoarding of they just keep dressers and clothes and desks and things like that. It's actually trash and debris. So I'm more of like of a line of not trying to judge his parents, but I'm gonna judge the fuck out of them right now. And I'm gonna say it probably was a bunch of empty soda cans and 7-Up bottles and shit like that that was laying around the house because the mama was too damn lazy to clean. No, I don't feel sorry for his parents. I feel sorry for that poor child. So, Zadozer, Zadeezer, I'm sorry. You say that those parents should be charged with malnourishment. Okay. Here's my only argument to that, and I want you to think about it. And I want anybody coming in, because I just saw more people come in. I want y'all to think about this conversation about Casper O'Brien. Rest in peace to this little soul who didn't have a chance in the world because of his parents. Think about this real quick. Type one in the chat if you know somebody who poorly feeds their children. It could be you, it could be a sibling, it could be a neighbor, it could be somebody at school. Type one in the chat if you know anybody that poorly feeds their kids. If the answer is yes, if the answer is yes, then do you think that those people should also be charged, even if they're your relatives? because we know a lot of kids in this age and time now are morbidly obese, whether you like Donald Trump or don't like Donald Trump, and whether you decided that you didn't like RFK for recently because he associates himself with Donald Trump. We have to agree America's youth has a major health problem. We're in a health crisis with these kids. These kids are underactive. They're overly, they're morbid, they're more obese now than they were 20 years ago. And they changed up the whole regimen of requirements in PE and other things to show that these kids are actually getting nutritional value. I'm going to challenge every last one of you parents when your kid goes back to school, you look at the menu and you see what these kids are eating under the Let's Move campaign that Donald Trump hasn't even changed. So everybody talked about how bad Michelle Obama did with the food, but nobody changed it. And watch how poorly nutritional and value that food is. I'm talking about, I've seen plates where they had waffles, French fries, and beans. You tell me where the iron is in that. I know one that doesn't poorly feed, but just let them do whatever they want to do. But that's just so that's not child neglect. That's just bad parenting. Um, but you got, like I said, just think. But think about it really though. How many people you know whose children are obese? All these people got mad when the Trump administration decided to change what requirements and items you can purchase on Snap. Outraged, they were offended, they were mortified. Hey, how are you doing? Hey, you don't have to speak. Boy, the world is different. But they were outraged, they were mortified, they were offended because they couldn't buy their 10 bags of Doritos that they were going to resell 7 of them. They couldn't buy their 4 24-pack cans of soda because they were going to resell them. They were going to resell them. They were offended. See, I'm telling you something right now. The food stamp system is so screwed up. I remember working at Sam's Club, and I remember this Arab guy who owned a convenience store. He'd come in with drunk for getting food stamps, and guess what he would do? He would buy them beer in exchange to using their food stamp cards. And when I complained about it, guess what they said? They said there's nothing. Walmart said there's nothing, or Sam's Club said there's nothing they could do about it. This is why we have to change up the food stamp system. But back to Casper O'Brien, whose parents probably got assistance, even though the crazy thing about it is that kid's parents only took him to the doctor once in his life. And they even had a sibling that the people reported that they knew nothing about. So this child, the dad, they said had medical insurance. This happened in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And so the dad had medical insurance and didn't use it for their child. But how many people you know have Medicaid and they still walk around with obese children? They don't take their kids to the doctor unless they're trying to diagnose them with autism, ADHD, put them on the spectrum so they can get an extra check from the government. I'll tell you about that Ponzi scheme later between doctors' offices, the schools, and the parents. How we're over medicating our children to the point where now they become more of financial benefits than they are emotional and social benefits. I'm telling you about it, Stockfish. It is way too early this morning, man. I know, and it's way too early for me to get my fat ass up out of the bed and go for a walk this morning. Maybe I should just sit my ass on the internet and complain about everybody else being up too early while I lay in my bed eating, wiping Dorito stains off of my cover. Am I projecting or am I talking about you? But either way, continue to comment in the section. I do appreciate it because it does help the algorithm. Now, are we going to help our kids or not? Are we going to let them become a Casper O'Brien or not? So I'm going to say If we say that these parents should be charged for this child's death simply because they fed him poorly and he developed cardiorhythmia, I think that's what it cardio rhythmia or apathy or something like that. I can't think of what his name. But if we're going to say that his parents should be charged, then there's a lot of parents out there that need to be charged. Just because their child died doesn't mean that other parents aren't committing the same atrocious act. What do y'all think? And then also, like I said, make sure you sub up to the channel because we're gonna get those watch hours up, and we're also going to get this channel monetized because we're gonna talk about some real hard stuff. Like this is a real hard conversation. And then also make sure if you want to contribute to the fake teacher fund, the cash app there. Then the other element is this: we have such a failed government when it comes to education. If we take Casper O'Brien out of his home, where do we put him? We pay people to put these kids in foster care systems and foster care programs where the foster home is sometimes notoriously worse than other homes. Now, my mom was in foster care she did foster care for many years. And so I know what I'm talking about when I see good foster care system versus bad foster care systems. Because the stories that some of those kids would come in with when they enter her home and that she had to deal with because of the residuals from these kids was horrible. But we have a system in place where we will fund a foreign war, whether it be Ukraine or Iran, whichever one you want to be offended over. We will distribute aid to foreign countries, and we can't even figure out what to do with our children who are war to the state. Zadisa, I agree with you on that. However, no, you got a right to that opinion, and that's a respectful one. But you have to be careful because now you're going to have to start saying every parent that you observe where a child is obese or morbidly obese, that parent should be locked up for their child having that condition. If it's not medically or genetically proven that that child was inevitable to be that size. Whew. Take a nice little break here. Did you guys sub up yet? All right. Well, we don't do the N word up in here. If that's how you were raised and that's how you were malfunctioned to operate, you can do that, but we don't do that here. I'll let any comment slide, but we won't have that in there. No. And for that person who made that comment, you're probably the product of what I'm talking about, and you're probably a problem to what I'm talking about because parents have to get control of their kids' dietary habits before it's too late. Parents have to monitor what their children eat and what the intake is. It took us 4 administrations, Trump, the first term included, to decide something that we all knew in the jump that red dye is not good for your kids. But y'all still steadily running and getting Kool-Aid and Kool-Aid packs and the Kool-Aid shots and all of this other stuff, and you're feeding it to your children and you're pumping it into their veins. I even saw one parent one time, and I tried to pull them to the side, and I even saw one parent one time give their, if I get bit by a gator, then RIP, fake teacher. One less fake teacher to worry about, right? But I one time give their 2-year-old child who's still on a bottle, put Mountain Dew up in it. Now you're gonna be like, oh, well, that must have been that wasn't one of us. Well, let me tell you what us did. There's a lady volunteered at a food shelter. And there was this one girl, she's probably like 17 or 18. She just had a baby who was 3 weeks old, and she come up in that food shelter. And this woman's a bitch, and that's what I'm gonna call her. Sorry, don't want to get flagged, but she is, because probably 3 or 4 years later, she got sentenced to 30 years in prison because she allowed her girlfriend to throw that same child who was then a little girl up against a dresser and beat her to death. So her and her girlfriend are now serving long term, serving the long haul, boss. But this little bitch brought her baby in, who was 3 weeks old, and she was feeding this baby gravy because it was around Thanksgiving time. And I notified some of the ladies in the kitchen. I'm like, yo, she feeding her real food. One of the ladies went down, tried to talk to her, tried to explain to her like how not nourishing that is, and they have formula for the baby. This girl cussed that woman out, said she ain't got nobody, and da 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 da, and stormed up and left out of the establishment. She was too proud to take the help. Oh my God, look at that bass right there. Y'all see that bass swimming? If I was a fisherman, I'd go right after that, but I don't fish. Oh, some got him. But but that's that's the tragedy of, well, if these kids, salute to you KTC 994, but that's the tragedy of, what do you do with the kids if their parents can't take care of them? How do you help these kids if you find the parents are derelict in their ability to raise the kids? Where do you send the kids if the parents are incapable of providing nourishment? Because I'm gonna tell you something. My mother was a great foster care parent. She loved harder than what she should have, sometimes I said. She even adopted one of the kids, and I look at that kid as a little brother. But they are also foster parents who are not good foster parents. And these children are put in all sorts of hell when they leave their parents' home. I even know a story about a girl who left her foster parent, who left her parent, who was taken from her parents. She was placed in a foster care system, and she lived with this family for years. And the father R-worded her regularly. The stepmom didn't know about it. When the stepmom found out about it, the father unalived the stepmom, the girl, and himself. And this child was taken from danger only to be put in danger. KTC, that's a very, very, very real story. And it's one that bothers my spirit to this day because I actually love that child. So, Zadisa, I'm with you, but where do they go? Where does Casper O'Brien go? Who does he go live with? The aunt or the uncle who knew that he was being overfed, so they can go overfeed him? Because the aunt or uncle that he's gonna go live with knew that he was being malnourished, and they said nothing. They didn't report it. They didn't do anything. The state said that was the first time they heard about Casper O'Brien because nobody reported it. So you guys got any questions for me as I continue my walk? I was just enjoying that water and the shade. But yeah, woo boy. 5 miles to empty, and my pride is running low. Yes, I am a parent myself. Um, yeah, yeah, I am a parent. I have two boys, and I'm going to talk to you guys about one of the reasons why I started this channel as well is because um, right now we're dealing with a situation about discussing whether or not one of my boys um, is on the spectrum of autism. It wouldn't be on the deeper spectrum, but is it a case where he truly is, and we honestly recognize and believe that he is? Or is it a case where we have school leaders or school administrators trying to push that? No, I can't sing. Uh, but I guess it's just all depending on who's listening. But now, but that's it's a case of whether or not school administrators or leaders are trying to do the typical thing they do with all black boys who are a little bit hyperactive, and they want to diagnose them with something to say something's wrong with them because it takes away it reduces their expectation to help that child develop when that child is in their care. And this is what happens to a lot of black boys. There are a lot of black boys who are labeled autistic or labeled with attention hyperactive deficit disorder or obsessive compulsive disorder or oppositional defiant disorder, all of these different things, because the schools are too lazy to put their degrees to use. The experts are too lazy to do their research, to sit down and say, how can I accommodate and meet the needs of this child? I see it. I've lived it. I understand it. That's why I'm before we even think about that, we're going to ask that question. I'm going to take y'all on that journey with me about it. So if you have a child in the system and they're trying to push that on you, you make sure that they're doing their research for your child as well, and make sure that these are actually experts and not just people with titles. Like I had one guy who's the behavior interventionist, but couldn't point to one behavior redirective thing he did to help my child. They want the title, but they don't want the responsibility and they don't want to do the research. And this is the product of another conversation we're going to have about people getting online degrees, and they're getting these titles and these job opportunities against the people who are real scholars, who went to real institutions and who did real research, who did real studies. But because those people who got the online degrees know somebody, they get bumped ahead in those positions. This happens in education all the time. You guys, majority of y'all have an unqualified principal leading your kid's school right now, and you don't even know it. You don't even know it because you don't have identify their effectiveness for me. And I already told you guys, I said I made it up to $30 in gas money. So if you want to support the fake teacher fund, hit the Cash App that's up there. No, that's not begging for Cash Apps, but I've seen people give money to a lot worse, a lot more ignorant ass conversations. So maybe a conversation that's talking about health and well-being of your kids would be something you might want to contribute to. Just saying, just a possibility. You know what? I'm gonna go on this road back here. And guys don't, oh shit. I was about to wander over here and I'll say, don't worry, I'm not wandering aimlessly in the woods. But this is the problem of Florida right here. I was gonna say, so there's a trail right across over here. I'll say, I'm gonna cross that trail and I'm gonna get to that trail. But everywhere you walk in Florida, if you are not careful, you will fall straight into a swamp or some type of murky water where alligators sitting to bite your head off. It's called yeah, fast track certification. Yes, yes. And so that's the new age of do where you can go get if you need to get a quick certification to be a forklift operator. I don't recommend you go to a fast track certification, but that's one thing. But we literally have people fast tracking their certifications in the most serious profession of mentoring, molding, guiding, educating, instilling even values in our children. Let me back this up a little bit. So, yeah, no, for real. Yeah. But if you don't live in Florida, you're gonna be like, oh my God, it's a gator. If you live in Florida, you'll be like, okay, I just know I can't go in the water. You know, every bit of fresh water most likely has an alligator in it, if it's more than 2 feet. So just aware of that. We made it to $50. I just got another $20 blessing from somebody for the fake teacher fund. Thank you so much for that. And like I said, I don't call your names out and I don't say, hey, look who gave me money, because there's some docs and some bitches out here who want to get the money, but they want to mess up the money for everybody else. And I don't care who gets the money, but if you're going to give money to somebody, make sure that you give it to somebody that's not on some bullshit, but talking about some real shit. Yeah, that should be, yeah, yeah, absolutely. It should be for every profession, especially if you're a doctor. If you're a doctor and you got your degree from ECPI, right before we have surgery, you know what? I think if I ever need surgery, I think the last question I want to have before the anesthesiologist puts me under is, where did my surgeon get his degree from? Because if they say DeVry, I'm gonna wake up and jump out of that bed. So, free DeVry people and ECPI people. Hmm? So, but but yeah, just that's why I said you have to, really pay attention to what's going on in your kids' schools, because you don't know who's teaching them and they'll try to put everything on you. But back to what I was saying as far as Casper O'Brien, you know, I really just don't want people to blindly say if a parent is malnourishing their kid, then that parent should go to jail. Because if that's the case, hell, even I'm guilty, because I know there's some kids that I fake taught before who are morbidly obese. But I would look crazy if I had called the cops and said, "Hey, this kid's morbidly obese." It's not in the guidelines of being a mandatory reporter for me to do that. The only thing that people care about is a child being s assaulted, is a child being physically assaulted, or or things of that nature, or is the child homeless. And I agree they should care about more than just that. But in the grand scheme of things, we don't have a system in this nation that we should have a system in this nation. We don't have a system in this nation where we should have a system in this nation. Shoot, that supports that. Let me stop this right here. So where are we at? Where are we at with that? We're nowhere with it, because do you take the child from their parent and place them in the hands of another monster, or do we build a better system? That's, if I ever ran for office, that would be one of the main things that I would try to fix. I wouldn't think about going to war with Iran because that would sound dumb as fuck. Excuse my language, but it does. I wouldn't say let me support you Ukraine because that would sound dumb as fuck. Excuse my language. I would actually say who is the most vulnerable? Who's the most vulnerable in my community or in my country, and how can we help those people who are most vulnerable? What you staring at? I live here. I can't stand motherfuckers who look at me weird. Oh no, go, 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 go before they go down on you. I can't stand motherfuckers who look at me weird, and I live in a community. I wanted that conversation with that Karen. Whew, I'm almost home. I got a mile, no, 2 miles to go. So this has been more of a 10, more than a 10K. Hey, Julie, you're not gonna know what I'm talking about because your IQ level is a 63. Um, you're proof and you are a reason that I say everybody has access to the internet, and that 6 out of 10 people who uses social media has a mental disorder. Hey, good morning. Good morning. Oh boy. But I think I got some good watch time. I definitely got a good workout. I'm drenched. Now I'm gonna jump in the pool because I can, and I'm gonna enjoy it. Y'all guys enjoy y'all day. Thanks for all the new subs that came up. Thanks for the Cash App donations. And I'll try not to have so many random topics in these conversations, but I'm gonna start gearing them as we get closer towards me getting 500 subs, as well as getting that monetization. And like I said, anybody that, oh, thank you so much, Zadisha, and I hope you like to enjoy the content that I'm gonna be bringing on here. Um, so I started this channel because I had another channel, but it was always getting inundated with bullshit. I want to know whether you like me or dislike me, agree with me or disagree with me, rock with me or don't. If you are a human being with an IQ over 75, you should care about what's happening in education. If you are a human being with an IQ over 70, and you should care about what's happening in education. And some people will say I'm a nationalist. I'm a education nationalist because I believe the most important education that should be taken care of before anybody's education, before any other issue, it has to be how are we taking care of and protecting our next generation to thrive. I don't have the answer for what that means, but I do know what it should look like. KTC, you said some parents working overtime to pay bills don't have time to cook healthy meals. KTC, then teach your kids. Not you, not you, sister, not you. But then the best value that you can do is teach your kids how to cook. Teach them how to cook for themselves. Teach them how to make their own meals. I'm talking about if you have the kids, if you have the the 13-year-old, 14-year-old son, and you have the 10-year-old, 9-year-old daughter, and 8-year-old son. If you're in that dynamic, in that element, parents need to teach their kids how to cook. So at least when that parent does have to go to work, they can say, did you put this kind of seasoning on the chicken? Did you set the oven to this? A lot of parents make pre-planned dinners for their kids that all they have to do is put them in the oven. So I agree with you. The working parent has, and some the working mother. I'm gonna be controversial with this one. Horace Mann said the mother is the first teacher of a child. And I think women working is a great thing and it's an honorable thing. But just as men should not forget the importance of being a father, even though they work, women shouldn't forget the importance of being a nurturer and being a mother, even though they work. And I hope that wasn't controversial because we're losing it. A lot of our daughters don't even know how to dress virtuously because their mother never sat down with them and said, let me show you what matches. Let me show you what looks good on you. Don't wear the spandex, baby. You're a little bit too big for that. Let me show you how you should dress. Let me show you how I dress. And a lot of fathers are too busy to even care. So we can narrow the importance of education even down into racial demographics or socioeconomic demographics. But hey, if you haven't done it yet, and instead of sitting on your fat ass like Julie and complaining about what somebody else is talking about, maybe you should get up and go for a walk. Maybe you should even go live if you go for a walk, because what you're going to do is you're going to inspire somebody else who maybe said, you know what, I'm going to lay around and play on the internet all day. If you don't buy junk food, they can't eat it. I never got cookies, chips, etc. for my kids. And see, we're guilty of that even with my kids. We get that stuff. But what we did was we did cut out the red dye, and we did start slowly. We did see a difference with our our boys, especially my little baby that I got a little project with. So I want to call him a project baby, but he's a work in progress baby. So, but I look forward to sharing that journey with you guys about what's going on with him. I feel like every parent that works late should definitely teach their children how to cook, or at least have prepared meals. Yeah, and that's something. Maybe if any of you guys are inspired, I think that would be a great viral hit channel. It's not in my heart to do it, but I think that would be great to show a lot of parents how to prepare a meal before they go to work, how to communicate with their kids about monitoring the meal. Now, don't do that. Don't be like that hood chick that left her 1-year-old child, 16-month-old baby at home while she went overseas for 4 days, and she just left a bunch of food like she was like the child was a damn rabbit. But if the child is 13, 14, and they're capable of starting the stove and cutting the stove off, and now we have and with the advent of FaceTime, we can always check on them and monitor them. That would be a great channel to do. Somebody out there who's a mother, somebody out there who's even a father, and you love to cook and you know how to throw it down in the kitchen. Make that page. I will gladly sub up to it. I will gladly push it, pass it, support it. Because remember what I said in the beginning, everybody's a fake teacher, because we're teaching our kids something every single day in every single way. That would be a great channel to have, saying this is the meal I'm making today for my kids before I go to work. And this is how I'm going to show them how to monitor it. I'm going to prep it. I'm going to do this. KTC, did I inspire you? I gave you something to look at. Think about it. That'd be a great channel. Hey, um, a mile from home. My pool's right there. I'm burning up. Hey, how you guys doing? Easy, killer. All right, the pool's right there. Woo! I'm breathing heavy. My wife already brought me my swimming trunks. Damn, that's beautiful. I'm gone. Y'all take care.